this model is a cross-section, essentially, of the small intestinal wall. And the format of the layers is pretty much the same throughout the entire intestinal tract, with just a couple of modifications in a couple of specific areas, which I think I'll have time to mention once I get this done. So, starting from the inside, from the lumen, okay, which is where my hand is over here, these finger projections represent what? Anybody know? Villi. Okay, not microvilli, but villi. Okay, just increasing the surface area of the intestinal lining, and then here, of course, is superficial, what would be in the abdominal cavity itself. So there are four big layers of the intestinal wall. We start on the inside or deep with the mucosa, which is the mucous membrane that lines it, and we have the submucosa below that. There is a muscularis layer below that, and then there is the outer serous layer. Okay? So starting from the inside, from where my hand is here, including these villi, down to this first red line that's right here, basically everything that's showing now, is the mucosa. Okay? The mucosa has three subparts. It has the epithelium, which is represented here by these cells. And who remembers the epithelium in the small intestine? Simple columnar. The blue dots, at least on this side, represent the basal nuclei of the columnar cells. You also have cells with open areas toward the lumen. Anybody remember what they were? Goblet cells. They produce mucin combined with the water makes mucus. Okay? Down here is just a higher magnification of a specific area in here. This is called an intestinal crypt. Here we have the simple columnar cells, goblet cells here as well. And there also are these guys down in the bottom with these red little particles, dots in them. Those represent secretory cells. In the small intestine, specifically in one area, there are two types of secretions that can occur. One is enzymes, and the other is hormones. So we don't have the legend for this model anymore, so those cells could represent one of two things: enzyme-producing cells, or what is called the enteroendocrine cells, a hormone specific for the digestive tract that allows one portion to communicate with the other. Okay? And they're scattered throughout the epithelium. Now, below the epithelium, this flat area here, whatever color this is, peach or salmon or skin, pick one. This is the lamina propria. Okay? And so we have epithelium, basement membrane, lamina propria, and who remembers what kind of tissue the lamina propria is? Starts with an A. Areola. It's the loosest loose connective tissue you can find. Okay? Then this red layer that's right here is the muscularis mucosae. It's a muscle layer, and mucosae simply says it's associated with the mucosa. Okay? Now, within the lamina propria are these other structures, blood vessels, and this thing, which is known as a lacteal. It's part of the lymphatic system. The muscularis mucosae is technically a two-layer thing, but we're only going to consider it as one. Okay, it's very thin. And when it contracts, you get movement of these villi. Okay, it's local movements. Any questions so far? Okay. Below that, this area right here, this band, is the submucosa, which is just more loose connective tissue. And you have in there, you have blood vessels, you will have nerve plexuses, and you'll have some other glands. Some are part of the immune system, some are not, just a smattering of stuff, basically, that's there. It also serves as an attachment point for the mucosa. Then, this other red layer down here, this is the muscularis externa. Muscle layer, externa meaning toward the outside. And this also is a double muscle layer, and because it's thicker, we're going to consider it as two, distinguish the two muscle layers. The first one, the inner or the deep muscle layer, is a circular layer. So when you have the tube of the intestines, it runs in a circular, like a perimeter, circumference. The superficial or the outer muscle layer is longitudinal. It runs along the axis of the small intestine. Okay? So no matter what the orientation is, okay, this is showing these guys are cut parallel, these are cut perpendicular, okay? In a different angle, these would be reversed. So, but regardless of what the appearance is, the deep layer is always circular, the superficial layer is always longitudinal. Okay? So in this particular cut, it was cut along the, basically a little slice was taken out of the wall. Since this is the longitudinal layer, the intestines is running this way. Okay? The bottom here, not the base, but this bottom area, this is the serosa. In the abdominal cavity, this is what the outer covering